Hi, this is Vamsi Gali. Welcome to the space where I share my real life experiences and reflections from building and running multiple businesses since my early 20s. In the other video, I talked about the standard, like the discipline method we implement when it comes to adding a rental to our existing portfolio, or even that's how we started building our rental portfolio. Now, this topic that I want to talk about is the heartbeat of this whole rental portfolio. It doesn't matter whether it is 3 properties or 20 properties. To me, this has been the most integral part of our rental portfolio. So, this is creating systems for the rental portfolio. Initially, what we've done is that as we started buying more and more properties, we ended up having, we're dealing with multiple HOAs, multiple lenders, and sometimes multiple counties. And we may not have to pay because our escrows are covered in the mortgage payment. We have different insurance companies, and we have sometimes different property managers. As you can see, there's a lot of complexity, and of course, tenants are different, the leases are different, they never end, they never start and end, they're never the same amount. When we have all this information, if anything beyond two, we just couldn't store in the backs of our minds. So I was simply using a notebook. Yes, I worked in high tech, but sometimes it felt more easier to have a visual thing. Initially, I started having a notebook, and then, our portfolio started growing bigger, and it's not very digital friendly, and then I had to type everything back out. So I then switched to having a spreadsheet and then having an iCloud drive. And then from there onwards, I then moved to right now with having a Notion. So Notion is the tool. I am in love with it right now. So we created one master database with all the property information, and we created multiple databases, one for HOA, one for insurance, one for property managers, one for mortgage companies, where we have all the information related to that particular database, and then the information is being fed into the main database. So anytime we change anything related to these each and individual databases, it's automatically being updated in the main one, and we have multiple views. For example, we have views where we would see what's expiring, which properties have their lease coming up in next 90 days. We stay on top of things before our property managers come and approach us. So having this kind of system helped me to stay proactive. And the second most important thing, which we've been doing for many years, but not at the very beginning, having a separate bank account for all the rental properties. We used to have our personal accounts handling the rental payments, the rental income, everything that we have to pay out, the insurances if we didn't have them included in the escrow payment, or the HOA payments, the penalties and whatnot. Everything was included, and everything was going out from our personal bank account. When I noticed that that has to change, it also gave me another important thing that I needed to do, was my bookkeeping. Most of the people, even when they have 3 to 4 or 5 properties, would not even consider having a bookkeeping, because I think the problem is with the bank account itself. Nobody will come forward and do bookkeeping for the personal account. We need to have a separate account. So that covers both. The second point of having a bank account covers also the important prerequisite for the third step. So the third step is that having a bookkeeping. This one is also, we've been doing it for the last couple of years, more than 4 or 5 years, but I've been more than happier with this choice. Yes, it does cost money, but it is one of the best things I think I've done for our portfolio, because every single month our bookkeeper gives the monthly rental income report, where we get to see what's the net rent we are getting, do we have any repairs, and then if we have any repairs, all of our property managers are supposed to notify us, even if it's a $50 bill. It doesn't stop them from performing, but we want to be in loop so that we can help them if there is a warranty that we can activate. So if there's anything that is out there that we don't recognize, we immediately get a chance to have a conversation with our property manager, so they're in loop and we're in their memory loop too for the next time. And then we get to see what property is making good cash flow, what property is not getting enough cash flow but going through a lot of repairs. Why is this important? Why is this important for us? This is very crucial for us when the market turns, right? When the market is ready. That probably is the first property we want to let go. That is not the property we want to keep it on our portfolio, because the appreciation is great, but maybe not the cash flow. It helps us to stay on top of things and not be reactive, but more of have a proactive role. So with these systems, I think now our rental portfolio became a very manageable and peaceful, and we get to know what's going on with every property, with the large amount of, I think, properties we have. It makes me feel peaceful at the night, knowing that what is happening with everything and knowing what to do in the future too. It also helps me, for example, if we have any rental properties coming up for leases in next 3 months, we know we need to keep reserves because we may not go through a renewal, or we may have a vacancy where it might take a month or 2 months depending upon the market. Or that also helps us how we want to price it. The use cases are endless. As long as I have the systems in place, the rest is just coming along. I hope this somehow helps with the way you're maintaining your properties, how you're leveraging what's out there, the data, by creating systems and processes that's actually working for you rather than those making you work. So thank you so much for listening to me.